Hello, and welcome to HMO Heroes Live at 5. It's great to be back with you all for our 14th HMO Hero joining us tonight. But just before I tell you about the show tonight, and I know that you're going to love it, I just want to tell you, in case you don't know about HMO Heroes is a Facebook group for other HMO property obsessed, property interested investors and it's all about inspiration, motivation, and information. And every Thursday at 5, we go live in the group, and I'll be with another HMO investors who's achieved amazing things in HMO property. So tonight's guest, Niki Torbett, is fabulous. She has, in the last 2 years, started in the HMOs and now bought and refurbished a number of HMOs. And what I love is her bold designs that create the sort of HMOs that people really love to live in, and also the type of HMOs that are gaining her about 25% more rent than is typical in her area, which is Blackpool. So we'll be talking tonight about starting off in HMOs, how to refurbish for that great finish that gives something amazing for tenants and also fantastic return on your investment and for investors. And she's also got some great tips about working with investors when you're new in property. And we'll be diving in to refurbs and how to get those refurb teams together that give you that HMO dynamite. Now, if you're interested, go and have a look at the images from her properties on her website, which is Lancashire Hill. Is it .co.uk?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, and remember, guys, it's a two-way thing tonight. So if you've got any questions that you want to ask, just pop them in the comments, even if it's after the live, put them in the comments and give us a thumbs up, because also we'll give you a shout out if you give us a thumbs up. So with all that done, I just want to say a huge welcome to the show, Niki Torbett. Hi, Niki, how are you doing?
Hi, Steph. I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm brilliant, but not quite as good as you, because I hear that you're going on holiday tomorrow.
That's correct. Yes, I am. Very early in the morning, gym, holiday, and that's it. So yeah, you're lucky to get me. That's all I can say.
And you're going to the gym before you go? Is that what you said?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, 6 o'clock tomorrow morning. Yeah, I'll be touching on how important it is to stay fit and healthy.
Brilliant, brilliant. I love that. Gym before the airport. And you're off to Carcassonne, which is a lovely part of the world. I've been out there as well. So I hope you have a fantastic time. And we're going to have a fantastic time as well with this tonight. So let's kick off, Niki. Tell us a bit about you and how you got into property.
Okay, so I've been doing property for really just about 2 years. Immediately before that, I was working for Mercedes-Benz. I was assistant sales manager at a dealership for about 2.5 years. And prior to that, I was in the police for 10 years. And that was down south in Thames Valley. So yeah, came to property around sort of 2015. I started thinking I wanted to get involved in it. I knew I was going to be able to remortgage my home, and I had a fair bit of equity in that. So that's where it all started, really. I knew I was going to be able to take a bit of money out, and I actually did a completely unrelated course called Landmark Forum in 2015. Mm-hmm. And on that course, somebody mentioned something about property. I started doing a bit of digging, find out what they were up to, and I ended up discovering that you could do a lot more than just buy to let. So that was really how it started.
Well, that's fabulous. And then from there, I think did you go on to do some training?
I did. So yeah, I ended up falling into the lap of Progressive, and I did their multiple streams event, which was it was great. That was January 2016, that I did that. And I just released the money from my house that was sitting there burning a hole in my bank account. And that was where I met one of my investors that invest with me now.
Fantastic. So you had money burning a hole in your pocket, and
in my bank account.
Sorry?
Yeah, carry on.
And you bought an HMO. So tell us about that.
So I bought, I actually ended up investing in Blackpool rather than in my hometown. There's another story behind that, but that's where I ended up. So I bought a 4-bedroom house, and instead of just doing a normal buy-to-let, I just thought I'm going to do an HMO with this. I knew I could make more money, and I knew it meant that I could, leave my job. And so that's what I did. I went straight in with an HMO.
Fantastic. Well, tell us a bit about the property, the numbers, what it was like with start off with the numbers. Tell us about that.
Yeah, I think it was an old student house, to be honest with you. So it was one I saw and discounted. And I can't remember why. I think I was going to buy something else. And I actually did a rent-to-rent course with Katrina Jones, Kendall Bailey. And I was on that course, and I thought, she's great. I love Katrina. Girl crush on Katrina. So yeah, it was on that course. I suddenly remembered this house, and I thought, I wonder if it's still for sale. I wonder if I could rent it. Got back in touch with the agent. They said no, but it is still for sale. But the price had come down, and I thought I was having problems getting hold of this other one I'd found. So I just thought, I'm just going to buy that instead. And I did, and I'm so glad I did. And it just worked out really well. So that was the first one I bought, and it was massive learning curve. It cost me $5 or $6 grand more to refurb than it should have done if I knew what I was doing. But it was such an education to be in it every day and learning that much. It was worth every penny of that, probably, extra money that I could have saved if I'd have known what I was doing, but I didn't know. I had to get to that point.
But I think looking at the figures, it doesn't seem, because you spent 103 on the property, and then only, it was 23k on the refurb. But looking at the photos of what you achieved with your refurb, I think, it looked amazing. So what
it's, I keep saying that, but let me just point out that I spent 6 months of my time on that building, not taking a wage off it. So yes, it probably came in quite cheaply, but because I was there every day myself and I did so much of the stuff, really probably should, if I'd been paying myself, which is what I do now, I would have probably come in more. But again, as I said, it was such a great learning experience. I just wanted to come in with that,
Yeah. And then, tell us about renting it out then, because you bought it 103, you did the refurb 23, and then tell us about the process from there.
Well, I set up my my company, Lancashire Hill. I actually set it up before I even came to Blackpool, and I had a vision in my head that I was going to make these beautiful homes for people to live in. And the idea was that, before I even bought the house, I set up the company. And so it was like a bit of a beacon or a vision, like a vision board almost, that house or this home to fulfill that vision that I had. So when it came to renting it out, I obviously used spare room. I tried Easy Roommate as well. I wouldn't really bother with that again. And yeah, I got a lot of interest very quickly. One of the things that all the trades team used to say to me was, why are you doing this? Why are you spending this money? It's only a renter. That's like the thing they always said. And I was like, yeah, but you don't understand. It's not going to be an ordinary renter. The people living here aren't going to be, this is, high end. And nobody could actually believe what I was doing. So, and it rented out very quickly, to be honest with you. And first one, it was difficult to know what to pitch the money at because I was more expensive than everybody else. But I believed that it was worth it. And so it was it was a bit nerve-wracking, because you create this thing and then you think, is anybody going to want it? You know, they all say if you build it, they will come, but you never know till they come and give you their deposit and say they want to move in.
There's a worrying moment when you're on your first ones. But you were explaining that the average rental around your area is 360 to 380, and you're achieving 410 to 440, which is 50 to 100 pounds more per room, and 250 to 400 pounds more per property, which is almost like an additional room. So I think definitely worth the investment. So you got the first one all done and dusted, and then tell us about your second deal.
So the second one it wasn't bought by me. It was bought by my friend that I mentioned that I met at Multiple Streams. We'd sort of been friends for a couple of years, and we talked about investing together before, but you know, we had very different ideas about the finished product. And then one of the houses that I'd discounted when I was first looking was St Albans Road, and it was in such a state, it was unmortgageable, and there was no way under the sun that I would have dared to take it on, because it was too much. And it went off the market, and I was sort of a bit, I don't want to say bored, but I'd done my house, and I thought, well, now what do I do? And I found this property, and I said to my friend, look, you know, I reckon this one might work. And he said, well, I'll buy it then. So I was like, right, okay. So we did the numbers on it, you know, and he bought it, ended up having to buy it for cash, as I said, unmortgageable. So he bought it. I refurbished it, and by this time I'd sort of joined forces with a tradesman that I'd met. He'd done a little bit of work on my house, and to be honest with you, I wouldn't have taken it on without him and his knowledge. Unfortunately, that broke down eventually, but it's just one of those things. But yeah, so really turning St Albans from what it was, and on my website there's a video, the before and an after, lots of photographs. I mean, we ripped that house to pieces and put it back together for, you know, just over 30,000, and it is mint now. It is absolutely brilliant. It's unrecognisable. So yeah, I have to give credit to the guy that I was working with.
Well, that is one of the things that attracted me to you, because I did go to your website, and I was really impressed with what you'd achieved there, and I can't believe the numbers either. For anybody who's in the south, well, we're even in Wales, but it's impressive here as well that you bought it for 65k in cash. Wow.
Yeah.
So that's a good ROI, and the refurb 38. So you're all in at 103. And then you refinance it. Sorry?
Yeah. The 38 was including furnishings and stuff.
Yeah.
So, and I think we got it revalued at 120.
Yeah. That's right. And you had a few challenges, because I remember you said that it was additional licensing in that area, which is
that was the reason.
Granted.
Yeah, that's right. There's an additional licensing zone. So funnily enough, Ripon Road, which is my house, was on the correct side of the road not to be in this zone. So it was one of the other reasons I bought it. But St Albans is in this licensing zone. But I made some inquiries with the council, the team. They're very, very helpful. And I just said, look, if I do everything I'm supposed to do, will you turn me down? And they said, no, as long as you're a fit and proper person. So I involved them right the way through, and I almost had to bang their door down to get them to come out and see me. And some of the neighbours, so this was funny, when the neighbours found out what I was planning on doing, they were not impolite to me, but they were very, very clear. Well, one lady in particular, that she was not happy. She did not want an HMO on her street. And she tried everything to stop it happening, and she phoned the planning, and I had the planning team round, and I happened to be on site one day, and they knocked us the planning department, and I was very well, I invited them in. I knew that it was nothing to do with them because it was in permitted development, so they didn't even have to be involved. I told them about the additional licensing zone. I told them that I'd been trying to get hold of the licensing officer and she wasn't getting back to me. They actually said, oh, she's actually on long-term sick. And I said, well, I've been trying to get hold of you. So in the end, I got the new licensing guy out, or the boss, and the fire department came round, and they couldn't fault what I was doing. And it's been brilliant because I now have a good relationship with them. So if I call them up, they'll come and look at anything I'm doing and they'll say, okay, yeah, you know, she knows her stuff. I've done a course with the RLA about the fire regs. Still confuses the hell out of me, but they're on my side now. They know what I'm doing and they trust me. And I think that's the thing, really, is just to be as upfront as you can with everybody about what you're doing and do it right.
I think actually it varies so much depending where you are in the country, what the councils are like in terms of the licensing teams. But it's great that you have got a good relationship with yours, and in Newport as well, we have a good relationship with the licensing team, and we get to know them because we're out with them so often at different properties. But I just want to come on now to when you're doing that first refurb and you feel overwhelmed by all that is ahead of you. Can you give some tips for example, finding a good building team to work with?
Yeah, so it can be a bit trial and error, and I think for me, I was very lucky when I moved here. I made a few friends who were doing property stuff quite quickly, and I sort of asked them, I need a plumber, I need, you know, and what's ended up happening, and I was actually chatting to one of them yesterday, who recommended my electrician to me, and we were talking about, he said, you know, he's been doing it since 2011, and he's only just really put together a very solid team of people that he can really depend on. He does much bigger developments than me now, but and that's how long it can take. And actually we were talking about how I've sort of benefited from the goodwill that he has with these people, because he's recommended them to me, and I've said, you know, so and so's recommended you. They look after me because they respect him. And then that's I then think, right, well, recommended, so therefore I need to look after them and not mess them around, because otherwise it's going to annoy the person that recommended them to me. So I suppose it's about recognizing, you know, asking for good people and looking after those good people, and then letting them know how pleased you are, and going back to the original person and saying, you know, they were great, and you know, just kind of giving the love a little bit, really.
Yeah, I think that's a fantastic advice, and that's a common theme that I get when I've been talking to you, is that because of the relationships that you've built up through networking and other things, because having been in property 2 years, it's not a huge amount of time, but you've been able to create a lot and meet these people because of actually having a proper exchange. I mean, you're not just going to them asking for information, asking for referrals and so on. You're building a relationship with them, and through that relationship, they're happy, other investors, to give you quality referrals to building teams, and that just saves you so much time if you get straight to the goals without having to go through all the dross, because that's such a challenge of being in property. Yeah, so
you're learning from their mistakes, you know. That's it.
And we've had a comment from Phil Sadler. Thanks for this, Phil. I've had similar things with neighbours being initially worried about an HMO on the street even before they'd started on the refurb. Yeah, I've got such a bad rep. And just want to say, obviously, hi, Phil. Hi, Raj, Martin, and Dean. Great to have you with us. Okie doke. Well,
can I just Steph, can I just say to Phil, what I did was I just told everybody what I was doing, and I reassured them. And what I like to try and do if I have time is have a bit of an open night. So once the house is finished and furnished, I did this at St Albans Road. I got some Prosecco, and I invited round some of the trades guys. I invited the neighbours. I invited some friends that knew what I was doing, and we all just sat in the kitchen and had a load of drink. And I said, look, come and have a look at what I've done. This is and it was so not what they were expecting, that they are now, they will ring me up and say, oh, by the way, did you know this? And I've said to all my tenants, if I get one phone call from the neighbours complaining about you, that's a warning for you. And I obviously have house rules and stuff, and they never complain, and it's all settled down. But I think if you engage people and deal with their fears and talk to them and be open, then it just helps. You're not going to win everybody over, but I think it does help. And Prosecco helps as well. Yeah,
Prosecco definitely helps. So that is a fantastic tip. And I've not actually, I don't think I've heard of anyone doing that, inviting all the neighbours, the trades and friends around, as a sort of launch. I think when we first did our first ones, we invited lots of letting agents round and some estate agents so that they could see what we were doing. And that was really worthwhile. But I think it's great to have involved the neighbours like that, and the trades as well, in a bit of a celebration of it all. I think that just goes to what I was saying about the way that you have developed these relationships. Well, while we're on the topic of that, and I know a lot of people who've been successful in property do say that networking has been amazing for them, and I know that you're a host, so tell us about that.
Gosh, yeah. So in my other life, I've ended up, don't know how it's happened. I do know how it's happened, but yeah. So I'm now co-host of the Blackpool and Preston PPM. So through networking and talking to people, I've ended up meeting and helping to run the PPN, and then one of the other co-hosts he hardly ever comes over. From where he lives now, so I've sort of been drafted in to help co-host the event, and we've been running now since May last year, and we get between sort of 50 and 100 people a month, depending on which speaker we've got. And it's a great event, and I am a huge advocate and believer in networking. To me, it doesn't matter who the guest speaker is. If you have a networking event near you, you should just go every month. Just go to it every single month, because when you're doing this, it's tiring, it's emotionally draining. You need other people who are going through the same thing, and you'll go one month and you'll be on fire, and your mate will just be a bit down in the dumps. And I say your mate because you get to meet these people, you become friends with them, and then the next month it's you that's flat and they're picking you up, or you just meet for coffee because you're a bit down, or you can get so much advice. It is a brilliant, brilliant thing, and everybody that does property or wants to make money out of it should network, put yourself out there. It's brilliant. I really do recommend it to everybody.
Great. And what would you say has been the best connection, well, in your actual developments and investment-wise, that you've made through? Can you give an example of somebody you've met on your networking?
What, from networking, from the actual networking event?
Yeah.
Gosh.
Networking in general.
I mean, really, for me, when I came up to start looking at properties, the very first estate agent that I met, who actually showed me St Albans Road, he was doing a bit of loose networking, and he took me to a small little 3 guys having a coffee, and through that was like a massive catalyst for me. But because I told him what I was doing, and he happened to be someone that was interested, and I think it's hard for me to say any one person, because I've met so many great people. I've even joined a gym because of my networking through the property network, and that's had exponential results like you wouldn't believe. Hence the reason I'm going there at 6 o'clock tomorrow morning.
Right.
You can't measure. I couldn't give you one person. There's just been too many.
Well, let's go into, because I know that this is an area that people really want to delve into, because the thing that often holds people back is lack of money, because even if you start off with £1 million, you're going to run out at some point if you're investing regularly. So, and you've been successful in gaining investors. So tell us your secrets there, but remembering, guys, that Nicky's only been going for 2 years. So what's worked for you with finding investors, Nicki?
So For me, I don't ask people to invest with me. I'm enthusiastic about what I do. I've built myself. I built a fantastic website which people just look at and they love. I talk about what I do. You know, at the networking event, everybody knows what I do, and I just think it attracts people. So if someone's got some money that they want to invest, and they recognise what you're doing and they believe in it and they see your energy and enthusiasm for it, my personal feeling is they will come to you if they have the confidence that you know what you're doing. And for me, it happened very quickly. Within probably 2 or 3 months of starting my refurb at Ripon Road, my mortgage broker, who organised my buy-to-let mortgage and the remortgage of my residential property, I told him what I was doing, showed him my website. So I'm moving to Blackpool. This is what I'm doing. Showed him my website, and he was just instantly interested. And he's got a few properties, and he just said, "Look, I might want one of those. Keep me in the loop." And then he just told me one day, "Look, find me one." And you know, and that's how it started. And other people that know what I'm doing now, ex-colleagues, you know, even through doing the post on Facebook about this, I said to you, I've had a number of texts and phone calls from people saying, "Can we have a chat?" You know, and I'm like, "Yeah, okay." You know, so I think it's just being busy what you're doing, you know, having a good product and inspiring people. You know, and you shouldn't really have to ask people; they should come to you. That's how I operate, anyway.
Yeah, I love that as well, because am I right in thinking you're not hugely on Facebook, or maybe you're just not in my timeline? But is this mainly through just sorry?
Yeah, I don't promote what I do on Facebook, really. I've got, my company has a Facebook page, but really it's more just it's just so it has a presence. But I don't shout about what I'm doing. I just don't do that. And I've got, you know, I'm sort of busy. Rent to rent I'm doing at the moment, thanks to you. I found one, you recommended that I just went for it, and one knocked on my door, and I thought, you know what, I'll do that.
Yeah.
So I'm doing that at the moment. I'm halfway through in a 6-bed that we're just buying. So I don't need, I'm good. I'm not, you know, I don't shout about what I do on Facebook.
I think that even though you don't shout about what you do on Facebook, because that's what's worked for some people, that they've done so well through promoting what they do on Facebook, letting people know what they're doing on Facebook, and that's worked brilliant for them. But it's good for people who maybe feel that, oh, I don't really want to be on Facebook in that way, or I don't want to put myself out there in that way, that your way is a different way, where you're networking every month and maybe other times in between, and letting people know about what you do at those events, and showing your results, really. And also you've got your website, so it's just another angle for people. I think yours is more about the sort of the relationship side of things. Yeah. And what would you say about when you've got your investors, about sort of building the relationship and keeping your investors happy?
I think the key, the biggest one is honesty. And being really, really honest about everything, and being realistic, building in margin for things not to go to plan. You know, ensuring that their expectations are realistic of you, because as we were saying earlier, it never goes to plan. There's always something. So I've learned now to build in a bit more of a buffer when I put forward what I think a refurb's going to be, and hopefully, you know, save some money rather than look to spend it all, because, you know, that's never what you want to do. But if you just have to be really honest, and don't just tell them something just to get them to invest with you, because ultimately you will end up so stressed out and worried and feeling responsible, and it's not good.
Yeah, no, I think that's really, really important. Really important. So let's move on to your tenants, because I know that you really have put the same effort and energy into, you know, working with investors as you've put into producing a great product and looking after your tenants. And I know you've had your tenants are staying with you for quite long periods of times in HMO terms anyway. So what tips would you give on the tenant management side of things?
Again, everyone's got their own different style. So I'm very, for me, it's all about the people and trying to, you know, build a bit of a relationship with them, build a bit of trust, find out who they are, what they like, what they don't like. I mean, we have house rules for every house, and they're tweaked, you know, given different things that happen, but they're, you know, fairly set. Trying to, we have a WhatsApp group for each house, you know, it's nothing special. We have nights out as well. I've tried to create sort of a bit of a community for my tenants, but, you know, you can take a horse to water and all that. I've had houses where the people get on so well, it's like something off of Friends. Yeah. And then, you know, but one person comes in and ruins it all, and it's like, you know, the end of the world to them. And, you know, so it is hard work, learning to listen, you know, and I've had to mediate. I've had to mediate between two people. I've had to mediate between a whole house. You know, it's never ending, really. You know, there's no hard and fast rules. It's just, again, just building a relationship with them and trying to work through whatever's going on. And sometimes they just have to go, and they know, don't they, when they leave.
And I take it you're doing that on the negotiations sort of side of things. Yeah,
touch wood, I've never had to kick anybody out. It's always been a case of, look, we've tried, and how's things? They're not great, are they? No, they're not. Shall I leave? I think it might be, and that's really, you know. But not everybody deals with things that way, you know. Sometimes people are a lot more official, but that's how I do it.
Yeah, no, the main thing is you find a way that works for you and works for your business and is getting good results. So that's what's working for you. I forgot to tell you, Phil said earlier that he loves your idea about, you know, having the neighbours over in the social and so on. And now I just want to move on to the things that have really helped you in your business. You sort of hinted at earlier that about the gym. But tell us a bit about what keeps you focused and driven within your business, because we all know there can be tough times as well.
Gosh, yeah, I really, again, the networking thing helps. We had a month off actually for August, and I really felt the 8 weeks of not getting together with the people that I bounce off, you know, and not getting that thing. So networking, and just I think certainly I've recently got back into a routine with physical exercise and stuff, and that I'm somebody, I like to train in the morning, because for me it's like a gateway to the rest of the day, where I know that I can be more productive. And yeah, it's a difficult question to answer that, Stephanie, to be honest, because I think it's going to be different for everybody. I mean, I've just been through a period of feeling really flat and like, God, what am I doing? What am I doing? You know what I mean? And then, you know, you come through it and you find your mojo again. I just think it ebbs and flows. I think anybody that says that they're driven and motivated, you know, I just think it's something you have to accept happens from time to time.
Yeah, I totally agree, because we have been running the business for over 2 years now, but obviously at the beginning you're so excited and into it, but we've obviously had an ebb period and we're back at it now, but we're focusing on different things now, so the challenges are totally different, and I can't wait to tell you about some of the things we're doing at the moment, but we don't want to jinx it by talking about it too soon. But we've got a purchase that we're doing, and
amazing.
a commercial to residential project that we're doing, but we just want to get a little bit further, and we are going to talk to you about that. But I'm the same as you, that I've just started back at the gym again a few weeks ago, and I feel absolutely amazing. And I'm an early bird as well, so I go in the mornings, and I had to get up at 4:30 last weekend to catch a flight, and I thought, what's this 5 a.m. about? I'm not enjoying this. And normally I'm a 6 a.m. person, but I thought, do you know what? I'm going to try it. I'm going to try it this week, and I've been getting up at 5 a.m. Going to the gym. I've got a sauna at home. That's a relatively new thing, an infrared sauna, so I'll get a chance to go to the gym, go in the sauna, and still get into work early. So it's a great feeling. I feel amazing on it. Absolutely.
It really is. Getting it out of the way early for me it's great. I mean, I walk through the door at 7 after my gym, and I think, right, I'm only normally probably get up about 1:30, and I feel on fire for the day. You know, everything I eat, I know I've earned, and it just changes your whole mindset, really. Yeah. And I think, just going back to what you said about staying motivated, and I think you have to, as entrepreneurs or property people or whatever we're doing, we can become victims of our own success, because we get all excited and we say, oh, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, and you work so bloody hard to get it, and when you get there, you're like, now what? That, and you need to keep having, in my head, for me, I need to keep moving the goalposts and always having my eye on what's next after this, what's next, so that I can stay inspired and excited about it. Because if you don't, you'll just fall flat, I think. Anyway.
Yeah, and also celebrating the achievements, because that's the other thing that oftentimes we don't do. So I hope you don't mind me saying, but when I said to you to come on, you're like, oh no, I shouldn't be on, and like that. But actually, you've really achieved a lot, and I think sometimes ourselves, we don't recognise, what we've already achieved, and because we've always got our eye on a bigger goal for the future. So coming back to no problem. Coming back to the whole HMO thing, and from where you were as 2 years ago, and you hadn't started yet. Can you remember what that felt like, and what advice would you give to someone who's in that position now at the beginning, wondering if it's doable for them, and what advice would you give?
I think you have to be really, you have to really believe that you have to believe in what you're doing, that it's going to work, and you just can't not think it's going to work. You have to. And I think, again, it all comes down to, I don't want to say positive thinking, because it's impossible to think positively all the time, but you have to just believe in what you're doing, and just keep going. And because that's another thing, once you start a refurb, you can't stop. And I think, make sure that you keep a good track of what you're spending, get quotes in from people, get them in writing, or at least, to the point where what you're paying for, and take referrals from people. Just have a bit of confidence in your team, and network, without question. That's really important. And I mean, just talk to your friends, get around people that are doing similar things to you, and just tell everybody what you're doing. I'm trying to think what else, really. And I don't know, have a point where when it's done, like you just said, where you stop and you can look back and go, I did it. And it's a bit wishy-washy. Sorry, it's not more bullet point.
No, that's a brilliant answer. Thank you for sharing that. And you did mention you mentioned a book. Maybe you can't remember it now. But are there any books or resources that you use to keep your mojo up? Then let me ask you. Somebody's asked the question. Oh, Tracy Fuller. Right. If you're still working 4 days a week, I take it, Tracy, are you working 4 days a week? Would you recommend employing a builder who project manages as well and pay the extra cost of that?
Yeah, I probably would, Tracy, to be honest, because if you can be there yourself, or look, this is what I would do. I'm not telling you what to do. If you can be there yourself and you can learn, then do it yourself and get a good electrician. You know, you might need somebody to give you some advice about what order to do things in, because that's a whole other thing. And you'll have one person that wants it, you know, you'll have an electrician that wants it his way and a plumber that wants it his way, and they're all fighting, why has he put that there and I've knocked it out, and you'll get all sorts of stuff. So unless you can be there to learn the process for yourself, then definitely get a builder who will project manage it and pay the extra money if you want to get it done and up and running and you don't want the stress. Because if you're not there, all sorts of stuff will be going on and they will pull the wool over your eyes. No disrespect, but they're all out for themselves. Every single tradesman is out for himself and getting his money or her money at the end of the day. So yes, definitely, unless you can be there on site every day, pay someone.
Absolutely. I think so crucial especially on your first refurb with a team you don't know, to be on site every day or have someone trusted who's going to be on site every day, keeping it as you want. So I think you had some good advice there, Tracy. And have you got a project already, Tracy? Are you just about to start, or are you just sort of at the planning phase where you're hoping to sort of jump in? Let us know in the comments. But yeah, great advice. Definitely recommend that. And Tracy can sort of get involved and see, how did you work out the first time what order to do things in and so on? How did you learn about that?
God, how did I do it? Really, I winged it a bit, to be honest. Yeah. But the best, well, my friend recommended an electrician to me, and luckily he's stood by me, and he has helped me out an awful lot. So he taught me a lot of stuff, so yeah, and you do pick up a lot from the ones, you know, the ones you can, you know, they just want to help you if they're good people and you look after them. So that was really. But I mean, God, sometimes, you know, even now you'll get things the wrong way around. You know, I'll still think, oh,
well, I think that would be encouraging to people that you say that you winged it on the first one, because the finish and what you achieved was so good. So well done. And Tracy says, no, she's still looking for her first deal. Well, good luck, Tracy. And, you know, I think if you get a builder who can project manage for your first one while you're still working, I think that'll be a good deal for you. So, Nicky, is there anything that I haven't asked you that you wanted to share while you're on that I haven't asked you about?
I think the only thing that I've noted down here is I think I just want to briefly talk about a couple of so I think you were going to ask me about my design tips. I think that's something we didn't talk about, but really,
yeah.
I mean, for me, my first two were fairly. They were. I wouldn't say they were anything particularly outstanding, but the Ascot Road, Ascot Road, which is the last one I did. I did that. I went on Julian Morris's course, the Icon Living course. I just did his one-day workshop. And well, it was really good, and I found it at just the right time, because I could actually put some stuff into practice there. And again, everybody was like, "You're mad! What are you doing?" You know, and I was like, "No, it's going to look great." My decorator was totally on board, and he just said, "Yeah, no, I like it." I said, you know, and he really helped me, you know, finalise what we were going to do with it, and it looked brilliant. And I was actually around there today. And believe it or not, it's the prettiest house of all. It's got a bit of pink under an archway and this fabulous wallpaper. And the big tip that you get from Julian's course, there's a lot more to it, but is find something very patterned and colourful, like a rug or a cushion, or in my case, I had already found this wallpaper, and just pick the colours out of it and, you know, draw the whole house in. So that's what I did. And I was around there today sorting out the hive, the thermostat. And I walked in and I just was blown away by how beautiful it is and how lovely the four men that live in that house, how lovely they keep that house.
Yeah.
And I just think, I had in my head, it's going to be, you know, all nurses and girly, all men, and it's immaculate.
Well, Tracy's put another comment. So thanks for the comment, Tracy. And she says, Ascot Road looks beautiful and the website is amazing. Well, I totally agree. I did put a link to the website on the Facebook page, but I'm going to put it under this video when we finish in a moment, so you can go and have a look at Ascot Road if you like. It's got some sort of bright pink paint under archway, and it's got this quirky wall between. Sorry, say that again.
That it's just that one archway under the between the I love that house. It's stunning. It's again, I haven't put the before and after pictures up on the website yet. I really need to, because again, it's totally different. And it valued up really well, actually. That.
Well, can you remember the numbers on it? Is that what you about?
Yeah, we could have. It wasn't purchased as cheaply as it could have been. I think it was a little bit expensive. And it'd been on the market a long while. I think, potentially there was a bit of negative equity going on there with the vendor. But anyway, so I think we paid about 95, and it valued at 135. So considering we didn't have the purchase price as it could have been, it was actually quite good, and it was more than I thought it would be, and the rents have been more than I thought. We're getting like £1,700 a month for the whole house, so I think we spent about 35 again on a refurb. It's been rendered on the outside, we've put 2 steels in, and obviously lots of stuff changed inside to make it a great living space for people.
Yeah, well, I think 1,700 gross on a property that costs you 95. I know that obviously you've got refurb on top, but it's still a great deal. I think people who live in Blackpool maybe don't appreciate how good a deal it is, because obviously you've got the cash flow, you're holding on to it long term. So, it's a winner. Sometimes you've got to pay what you need to pay. And Tracy's asked, how many beds is it?
It's all of mine, Tracy, and I've got a 5-bed underway, and then we're just going to do a 6 after that. So the Ascot Road investor is just buying a 6-bed. I'm really excited about the next 2. So
and I love that, because your investors who've invested with you, is that your mortgage broker, or was your mortgage broker? Who then says, I want to invest with you, not asked, you weren't asking or looking for investment then, and then he's now investing again. And I think that's where you see, that's what I love as well, because one of our landlords, we did a massive refurb for him on properties that he owns, but it had got into a terrible state with a so-called, it still makes me angry when I think about it, because it was fully managed by a letting agent. They were getting paid for it, and they just let it get into such a state of decay, and it was just dreadful. But so we refurbished them for him, and then we let them out, and he's on a guaranteed rent with us, and he's been with us over a year. And so he's keen to come in and invest with us again, because we're buying properties now ourselves, and so we're looking for private investors who want a guaranteed return, and between 5 and 10%, depending on the amount, fixed term. And he's keen to come in. He says he wants to beat his ISAs, and I think obviously he's keen to work with us again. So it's a similar situation where once you do a good job once, that relationship just goes on, and that's what we want to do as well, was work continually with the same investors, because it's just win-win. You don't have to go through the getting to know you again, because you already kind of know each other and understand each other.
Yeah.
So brilliant to have you on, Nikki. And I think before we go, you had mentioned a book, Own Your Day, Own Your Life. Do you remember that?
So that was that was what I was listening to when we were speaking a few weeks ago, and that sort of got me thinking about just getting the most out of every day. So that's a good book. I just actually opened up my Audible So I don't know anybody nowadays that doesn't listen to audio books.
Yeah,
but, I think really there's just so many. I just wouldn't really know where to start. Start with Why is a great book, and Find Your Why is another one that goes with it. And I mean, really, if you're not doing Audible, you should be. I just
absolutely. Is that Simon Sinek? The Start with Why.
Simon Sinek, yeah,
Simon Sinek.
Yeah, and I suppose in a way, one of the things is you can just get so bogged down with property, and there's so much more underneath everything in your life that has to sit on top of. And I think it's important to get down to what really matters to you and why you're doing what you're doing. And you know, I've only really sort of just getting to grips with what my why might be. And, you know, I don't particularly want to talk about it because I still haven't kind of articulate it at the moment. But yeah, just really build a really strong you, and everything else I think falls into place. Have good people, talk to people, you know, be open, say yes to things.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right that building the best you is basically a life's work, isn't it? But something happened today that really made me so happy, which is that I often are talking about these sort of things to my son, and I had, on his birthday, I bought him some presents, but I also bought him the book, The Slight Edge, because sometimes he feels frustrated because he's trying to achieve something big, and I think he overwhelms himself at times. And I try to encourage him, but he thinks, oh, it's just you, Mom. You're just saying that because you're my mom. But today he sent me a page from The Slight Edge that he's reading that really has resonated with him. And I'm so thrilled because I used to sort of mention these things, and he used to sort of roll his eyes and say, you know, not say whatevs, but you could tell he was just thinking that. But I love that book, The Slight Edge, because it just shows you that it's the little things that you do every day when you're taking on these overwhelming things, like, or big things, or things that you've never done before. It's just the fact of taking the one step every day, or taking the steps every day, the little steps to make things happen.
That's a great book, actually. I had it on Audible on a CD a while ago. It's one of the first ones I read, along with 7 Habits. It's a great resource. And that's lovely, actually, Steph, that your son's, you know, that he's got you for starters to learn from and watch. But there's a young lad that I know locally, and, you know, he's hanging around with people like me, and, you know, through his job. And it's all starting to rub off on him. And, you know, we were having a conversation the day, and I said, you are so lucky. Like, everybody here looks at you and thinks, I wish I had this opportunity that you've got when I was 17 or 18 years old. Like, because, you know, you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with, and, you know, all of those other cliches. But, you know, I think one thing that I like doing is helping other people and trying to give people an opportunity and believing in them, and just investing a little bit of your time in the younger generation if you can. Now, I'm not a mum, so I don't have that opportunity with my own kids, but, you know, I think people crop up, don't they? And you can maybe help them a little bit.
Oh yeah, I get so much pleasure from that. I was doing the videos on the regular, but I will get back to it. These have been taking up so much of my time, doing these Facebook Lives with the interviews, but it's such a pleasure to share what other people have achieved, how they've done it, the challenges they've faced, and the response also that we get from the people who watch and find it so useful. So it's coming up to 6 o'clock now, Nikki, so I am going to wrap it up, but is there anything that you want to add before we sign it up for this week?
I just would like to thank you for the opportunity. You know, it's been really lovely. Yeah, it's been nice to talk about things, and just kind of cement a few things in my own head, really. Really appreciate the opportunity, Steph, and I think what you're doing is fantastic. So thank you very much.
Brilliant. Well, thank you, Nikki, for coming on and just demonstrating yet again that that's another thing I love, how you can really, had a lovely comment from Tracy. Thank you both, really inspiring. Well, I'm so glad that
thanks, Tracy.
That's the case, Tracy. But how you can really change your life in 2 years, because you're in a job that wasn't lighting up your world in sales, and you've come out of that. You've taken the first step. You've taken so many steps. You've created these fabulous homes. You've created good investors. You've got relationships with investors. Did I say the wrong word there? I think I did. But and you're just, that's the baseline that you're building up to more things. But you've been able to ditch your 9 to 5, which is something that many people aspire to. And I don't think there's any airs or grace about you. You're very down to earth. And yeah, I think that it does show people that how possible it is, even if you're not already in property. So thank you so much, Nikki, for coming on. And you guys, I look forward to seeing you all next Thursday night. And then next Thursday, I'm going to be away on one of these retreats that I love to go on, where it's all yoga, meditation, that sort of thing. So I understand they've got Wi-Fi, and if they have, I'll just come on my own and just talk to you about what we're doing at the moment, because I haven't done that for quite a long while. So as long as we got Wi-Fi on the retreat, I will come on and just have a chat with you all. So see you next week, guys, and thank you so much, Nikki, for coming on. So it's bye from Nikki and bye from me. See you next week. Bye.